Hey there. Welcome to the Light Language channel. My name's Charlie, and is there going to be singing today? Okay, all right. This is an episode where you're free of singing. I don't know if you like that or don't like that or what, but today I just have a really curious I'm talking about periods. So if you're not here for that, then bye. But like metaphysical stuff about periods. Um as with anything, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. That's what we all say, right? Because it's okay. It's going to be a little bit weird. This conversation is going to get a little bit weird because I have seen the mechanism of fractaling your consciousness and placing it into an egg. It is what egg havers do in order to produce baby, right? I've talked about this before, but Joy in Inside Out, um, a, Joy is a fractalization of Riley's mother. That's my take and my understanding based on just the like metaphysics of things, because of the you send a piece of your consciousness that you want for this little being, right? Joy being hopefully the piece of yourself that you send down. And it's not like you pull joy out of yourself and put it in. No, it's just consciousness can fractal. It can split in like that's just a piece of what we do. We're very multidimensional. And yeah, so that can happen, right? And if you are a person who has ever wanted children, that process can happen before you ever start even trying. You can actually just preemptively fractal place, into however many like were part of your original template when you came in. There's that's a whole different conversation. Okay, I'm specifically talking about like me and right now and periods, not having babies, not having kids. That's just sort of a to get us here thing. Okay, so I say that because when we were going through our death spiral and full integration last April, Marva and Scout and a few others that am I going to get the names? No, that's not for this conversation. Okay. But a few others were fractaled, and basically some of their consciousness was placed into eggs. That way they weren't part of headspace. They weren't part of decision making. They were not part of, because when you take a piece of your consciousness and you put it into an egg, um, that egg is not necessarily making choices on your behalf. Although, if you're listening to your ovaries instead of your brain or your heart, is really where you should be listening. Um, a little, I just had the question too of like, does that mean sperm is also consciousness? Pieces of consciousness can be placed into so man, yeah, you really can't be thinking with your nuts, with your with your testes, right? Little pieces of your consciousness, just like um different conversation. Man, I got so many like there's just so many avenues you can go with these kinds of um yeah, metaphysical explanations to biological processes that we ourselves don't necessarily really understand. Because I was so my period did just start. Yeah, this morning. It's part of why I got like all of these sorts of new things coming in because last night I recorded a number of videos and one of them was involved Marva. Marva was using my voice and was providing that she's used my voice plenty of times. And I'd been getting more and more information that was basically like, the DID is not fully integrated yet. Everything, like, there's still some pieces of who we are still in here because we're not just brains. We're not like everything is connected. Every single thing in our brain and our bodies are connected. Our cells are a big, important part of how we have information going on in our brains. Um, and with DID, like I talk about it being like separate headquarters because yes, like even the inside out thing. There's a main headquarters, and if you are a person that undergoes severe trauma at an early age and your brain has the capacity to do it, you will fractal, and a new headquarters will pop up. And then once that pattern is something that exists, it's going to proliferate. It's going to be something that happens more frequently, because it just is the easiest way to maintain any level of homeostasis, right? Like that's just basic biological engineering. Like if it can happen and it is sustainable, it will continue to be how it functions. So, um, where am I going with all of this right now? a final a final part of the removal of Marva's consciousness from my cellular structure is with her egg leaving, because body can basically decide, it's like a casting call, like, all right, we're ready for our next egg. We need this one, this one, this one, come forward. We're going to make our final decision. And like as this process kind of goes through, there's a lot more than just the body randomly releases. Blah, 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 blah. No, no, no. There's a very um segmented way in which it's decided who stays, who goes, what stays, what goes, um, who as a potential stays and who as a potential goes. Um, and because having children has been in my life script for this lifetime, which is very curious to me. But it was also it was a big part of our 20s was wanting to have kids. Um, you don't you don't get the desire to have kids unless you have something in your contract to at least try to have them, right? At least to set up the mechanisms for I will share consciousness with the egg when it is time. Um, some come in and that's not like that's cut off. That's like not a thing that gets set up, and then you don't have consciousness that goes down into an egg. You just do have eggs because you can't yeah, like that's just part of the biological process. Um, yeah, so the egg that's leaving me now was the last fractal of Marva. Were there more than one of you? Yes, I went into 4 eggs. No wonder. No wonder I was so pissy for the whole like 2 years. I'm sorry. Marva was a little, so I still do talk to them. Will you still be using I talk to them through using my mediumship channels. So they are other sided. And that's been very confusing for the last like year because I did not get a chance to reconnect with any of them until this past summer. Like seriously, they had to go completely offline. And when you're dealing with grief, it makes mediumship channels really hard to tune into. Because it's like you're static, right? Your heart is just like boom, 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 and that boom, boom, boom. It makes it really difficult to like actually hear the like, I promise we're still talking. You just can't hear it because every single thing that's going on inside of you is screaming. Ah! Yeah, sorry for the noise. That's kind of what um yeah, if so like if you're a medium and sidebar, if you are a person who's been doing mediumship or trying to do mediumship and someone that you love passes and you can't connect with them, that's grief and that's normal. Seek another medium. Like go talk to a medium whose channels are clear for that entity, because then you can at least hear them through the other medium, and that might help you get back to like finding them again, right? Like getting in line with them again. I say like if you're a medium for other people and then a person that you love passes. Sorry, hold please. Get on the phone. It's fine. It's fine. All right, she's gonna keep barking. Let's take a water pause. Yeah, go get yourself some water real quick. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take sorry. I know what you're thinking. Just put the dog away before you start. No, because sometimes she's fine. That was just she gets jealous. Anyway, I think it's absolutely fascinating. The entire concept of fractals of my former internal family have actually been uh well, still kind of riding. the body in egg form. And a fractal of Scout, just one. There are, okay. There are two fractals of Scout in my eggs, which is part of where I'm getting some of the like capacities that I have. Because they are also other sided. It's deeply complicated because of how multidimensional we are always here and in the not here because our we are here in a time-based experience, and we existed before we came, we will exist when we are done. um, and when you have channels open to these other realms and these other dimensions, it can just get a little bit complicated. And if you are not a person who's ever had dissociative identity disorder, it won't be quite this weird. Like, not really. You'll talk to spirit, you'll talk to your higher self, you'll be able to check in. That's just you outside of here, right? Um, these are family members of mine, and we did share a life and a body, and they do exist on the other side in a way that, yeah, in a way that works exactly the same as any of the other mediumship channeling that I do. It it's sort of like, it just sounds the same, like it or it feels the same when you're channeling it. That's how I know. And they tell me, but like I don't trust what anyone tells me in here anymore because of just the experiences that I've had. And I'm like, I can't validate like any of this, but what I can validate is what I feel and what I do notice. And what I do notice is that, like like archangel energy is here, mediumship energy is like here, 3D stuff is here, and there's something there. Oh, there is basically where. Oh, Gaia is even interesting. Okay, because it's just dense, right? There's a density to it, and it really is all of those frequency waves are sort of involved, and can kind of just tell where in my brain, where in my body, where along like that chakra system, which to me, honestly, like chakra, yes, like it does make sense, but to me, it makes so much more sense to just line it up along the spinal column and along the vagal nerve. Like that just is what that, because I came from a psychology background, that's what makes sense to my brain, right? Like people talk chakras, and I'm like, I do hear that, and I do feel in specific like areas, for sure, for sure. And though it just makes a little more sense when it's more biological, because that's what I have more access to. Um, I was just checking in with myself, because I get assistance to share this kind of information, and I'm still in the process of of determining how much of who is part of that I want to share. And so what you just saw was me talking to my guides in my own language with my body, um, in my light language, so that my my own ability to share what it is I'm feeling has, um, levels of communication that others can't hear. Um, because we think before we speak, right? We internally process things before they become external. At least that's what we can do when we slow down enough to make sure that we're doing that. But I thought I was just so curious about the whole period thing. I was like, wait, so the reason that I feel so absolutely good right now, because I feel like washed, is because these last couple of weeks, man, the visions, oh, they have been about death. They have been about lots of just so much death. Oh my God, so many death visions, right? And they have been intense. And the big Arcturian thing and like earthquake prediction stuff, like Marva was, uh, hijacked is a bad word, but internal headquarters wise, her consciousness was sort of what was plugged in to like galactic stuff, right? That really is something that's kind of common, especially if you've had sexual assault, apparently, like early childhood, especially, but it's part of the resonance that a lot of galactics like have plugged into people, not for like the purposes of controlling. Okay, fine, there are some controlling things apparently, but as a means of, we recognize that in humanity, this how do they put it, destruction of sacredness. That's what they call sexual assault, destruction of sacredness as a resonance is so sticky and so over consuming to a central nervous system and to one's life that for years, anyone who's like around trying to help us through this evolution, they've been sort of providing loving, helpful um, transmissions would be the easiest way to put it, to try and help uplift those who have been sexually assaulted, basically. So, okay, the what the soundbite of this is aliens have been helping you, and if you were sexually assaulted, they've been providing you with as much like, I promise you can keep going, just keep going, everything will be okay. We're here to help you. Content internally. Um, it's it's not really so targeted. It's really just a frequency thing. They recognize that frequency as being like this, which a body can't survive like this. This is anti-homeostatic. This is, you are going to head to an exit point because the body can't maintain. So they've been trying to provide a level of like, okay, we can slow that disharmony down. We can slow that dysregulation down. Because at least if we can help you slow it down, then the body can work to remove the trauma. The body can work to remove how much it's impacting your decision making, and just allows everything to, right? Um, and so because of that, and because it was, part of Marva's like Akashic record, and like tapped into all of that, right? And when you can read Akashic records and you have an internal family, like you just have so many different, like you're just, it's like being in Manhattan, actually. Yeah. It kind of is. It's just, it's loud. There's a lot all the time. You don't get a chance to just take a break. You just open. You just fucking open when you got a bunch in here. Um, and the integration process in which has involved them, yes, still continuing to be a part of me, just not in a conscious way that involves them fronting and making choices or doing anything other than be a sidecar. That is what it is. You become a side, like your consciousness becomes a sidecar. The consciousness of, yeah. Um yeah, it's been a very complicated couple of years. And these last 2 weeks, as Marva has, I guess, come back up to being ready to go out, um, that's why it got, you know, like more, more, and all of those connections got turned on because her hardware, the you can actually look at brain scans of folks with DID and you can see different areas in the brain lighting up depending on who's fronting, depending on who is the one who is consciously having their life in that moment. Um, it's not really in my best interest for my brain to be complete Swiss cheese, right? And for those to just go completely offline, because why the fuck would they? Marva was one of the main people in here who fronted. Like, that's a lot of life and a lot of brain body connections. So the hardware is still there. Um, I mentioned it before. It's a little bit more like the Ewok village at this point, not just separate headquarters. It's just a whole bunch of connected stuff. it's mega complex up in here, but with just me and a sidecar of Scout, apparently. And seriously, anybody? No, you have done this process many times with the consciousness fractals that we kept to assist with the rebuilding. Yeah, because we did that. It killed us. Like self-love frequency. Oh, it literally killed us. Couldn't survive the flu. Couldn't survive like it just too much on the body. Too much of a frequency dissonance problem. And because it just self-love, when you reach it, it turns the dial up on everything. And by everything, I mean everything, including all of those which will shake your cells so much that your heart is just like, oh, I give up. I can't do this anymore. Um, mhm, it can happen. So, why is this helpful for someone who's not me? I find this fascinating. I find it absolutely fascinating that I still carried some fractals of my former internal family members without my knowledge, but then my forgetting because am human, came back, forgot a bunch of things, also kind of have ADHD, so I tend to forget things anyway. And it's been a busy couple of years internally, so I just literally don't remember things. Um, and it feels very much like lore. It feels mythic. It doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel real. And my experiences say otherwise, and so too do my guides. And just the fact that, yeah, I not only feel completely free, but was the song last night that I did something from Marva? But yes. Oh, so it's like Marva's final goodbye song, not final goodbye song because not final goodbye song because I'll be here and back and providing continued content from same realm as those who provide it now. Get ready for more puppets. Am I going to get another puppet? If you want, that would be fine. Let it come to you. Okay, apparently I'm just going to turn my entire life into puppets with my former internal family members. That's fine. I mean, this was for Scout, so yeah. That one was Scout. This one's still going to be for Kristen. Okay, okay. We'll have a rainbow puppet situation, right? Don't worry about it. It's for the other channel. It's not even for this one. Probably. No, it's not for this one. We're not combining channels. Cool. Because that matters a little bit less. You don't necessarily need to know everybody that you're talking to for the most part, but that is how I'm going to be doing mediumship with these puppets is bringing these family members back on board. And I'm still so curious. So fractals of Scout. Yes, fractals of Scout, not active, simply in stasis. What now? Put consciousness into egg is to put in stasis until time of launch. It is not active. It is for waiting. And if choice for child becomes a no, then simply have a couple of weeks of reintroduction of consciousness. That's what PMS is. Okay, so, oh shit. Okay. Wow. So, all those times that we were trying to have a baby, fractals of who would go into the next egg. Whoever was ready to take a next step was not always Patricia, was sometimes those wishing to leave. Huh. It was a way of attempting to integrate before we even knew we had DID, apparently. Oh shit, so they would just leave on an egg and then they would just be done internally? We attempted, was too hard. Okay. And um We would prefer to speak in generalities for this. Okay, so my experience, thanks to DID, makes it really, really complex. In general, though, if you've been trying for a child and it's not working, you are having the experience of loss and grief without tangible and supported face holding. Part of the grief is you must confront and also bid farewell to a fractal of your own consciousness as well as that which does not continue forward. And I do want to be clear. It's not like you're taking your consciousness, putting it into a baby, and then you have a little you. You just have a piece of yourself in them because during childhood, it's just sort of a helpful way for human biology to continue, you know, going. Because to have your own consciousness in that being connects you to them in a way that allows you to, keep them safe and feel connected to them and all the things that you need, right? When they're torturing you, or like you go through torture to have kids and or just to raise children, right? So having a piece of yourself in them is essential in order to maintain that. It's just a part of it. Um, and yeah, some of us do, as we age, just grab onto the consciousness fractal of a parent and go, you know what, you drive, I'm done. Yeah, a little bit. It's not just because you were raised that way, it's because you basically are like, you know what, I want this to just take over. What's truly helpful for my viewers out there right now that I can share? Simply to understand that things are much more complicated than we have been taught to believe, and that things like PMS are opportunities to make conscious choices yourself about what behavior patterns you are ready to let go of. So last night, this song that came out, which is I have as of right, like it's just okay. It's the 7th of December. Mabel's Gotcha Day. Need to take her. That's why I feel guilty putting her in the crate because we're gonna take her to a park and do fun things and give her treats she shouldn't have because it's her Gotcha Day. It's one whole year with Mabel. My God. Um, and yesterday, I filmed a bunch, like 4 songs. They were just pouring out of me. Now I know why. They were Marva's, like, not just Marva, but like an inspiration from some of the depths of Marva's soul, which means they had a little bit of an edge to them. There's one about fire, and then just like, and then the last one was about feeling like I want death, like hoping, wanting, praying to just be done with this whole life thing. Because those are feelings that just do pop up, and they were feelings that were strong for Marva, big time feelings that were strong for Marva, which made sense. She held on to just so many of our deepest traumas. If you want to know more about that, I did write about it on Substack. I'm not talking about it here. Talk about enough shit here. Um, and after I got that song out and those feelings out, I talked about how I had also spent that afternoon and evening making a vision board for 2026. Not of reasonable things either, not of things that are achievable at all at my current income and even just like physicality level. Like I put like international travel on there. Do you know how tired I am? Like I watch the videos of people who travel to like Japan because of course I do. Everyone's watching those videos right now, right? I've been watching them for years because of course I have. They're fun and delightful. And yeah, I watch them and I'm like, oh my God, that's exhausting. But like, I kind of want to keep watching because this is the closest thing I have to a vacation right now. But even just the thought of multiple days on a long flight and then around a bunch of people and around a bunch of like just very confusing things. Like I've been to Japan. I did it before I had a smartphone. And it was deeply hard, especially just to get food. Like that was the most difficult thing. Because we went places where folks didn't speak English and we tried really hard to learn Japanese before we went, and it did not click. I had a notebook, I had a bunch of things. Anyway, um, sorry, getting off on tangent after tangent here, as we do at the Light Language channel. Um, but I was actively in the process of saying, like, this is what I want. I want the future. I want this. Um, while that song also came out and those feelings also came out. So it can be really complicated to have feelings of hope next to feelings of wanting to go to sleep and not wake up, right? Like those feelings can coexist together, and they can coexist together because people really are much more fractal than they realize. I'm not saying like everybody's got DID. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that this day and age, it, biology has figured out how to help people fractal if they need to, even in adulthood. And by fractal, I just mean take a piece of your own consciousness and like store it in a place that's needed for later. And if you have eggs and have ever had a desire to have children, you might have a fractal of your consciousness in an egg. And maybe it's from like your 20s. Maybe there's a piece of yourself from your 20s that's still like causing you problems. If you allow it a chance to just coexist with you in the weeks leading up to your period, maybe you just will feel better after the period. I definitely had at least one egg that took out my eating disorder and my desire for meat. How about that? And that was just a bunch of, there was like a lot of like listening to body internal testing all year. Was that to try to like pinpoint which egg it was part of the location process for who is ready to leave? Those with preference for meat out. I had multiple ones, and they just okay. Apparently, all year, every period's been like, okay, meat eating desire of consciousness pieces, pew 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 pew. That's what they tell me, and based on how step by step that process has kind of evolved, it's been step by step, and though it's been cyclical, or it's been in line with like I've been thinking it was the moon because we just had a big super moon and like things kind of happen, but no, if I had been paying attention to things with my cycle, yeah, yeah, I probably would have been able to pick up on this sooner. But you're kept in the dark about things for reasons, right? Um, but I don't. Well, I guess that's not true. No, I don't currently want. I keep having visions of having kids now. Again, do I want children? Is this me making a choice right now? Choice point thing? No, you do not need to say this out loud. We know your stance. Okay. Sorry, that was that was me talking to my ovaries. That's what that was. Um, yeah, I have conversations with internal parts of my body because it's not like there are little people down there. Um, but there is information that your body is also always constantly sending and receiving. Your cells are constantly sending and receiving information. You, as a conduit of your soul, are capable of also getting in line and in touch with your body and with what knowing is going on. And so it's kind of just a matter of taking your hand and going like, okay, I'm just going to reach over here and go into this stream of information that's coming out of me in the metadata that I am creating um, in my lived experience, also known as just the Akashic Records. Yeah, you can go into the Akashic Records and like look through the biological metadata of what you've been experiencing, how I get my information. Um, is it always the most trustworthy? No, I misinterpret things all the time. You have to translate it. Like I just try to sit and talk and have let these conversations come through me. And sometimes they're very odd, and sometimes they're very enlightening, and sometimes they make me go, wait, hold on, what? I have more questions. And they're like, we know. That's why we want you to at least talk about it a little bit. I hope I haven't confused you with my, like, how I've been doing whatever I've been doing, because my period and my integration have been working together, because if you've got the ability to just take a bunch of cells and like have the body stuff those cells with a bunch of shit that you don't want anymore and then have it flush, well, that's just one way to do quantum healing. Makes it easier if you've got eggs, man. Makes it so much easier. And it makes having a period actually feel sacred and cleansing instead of, well, what it's always been, right? I feel the need to give a shout out to Kelly Kolodny's womb light activation from like last month, November. I did that at the same time as I did Lee Harris's initiation. Apparently, those two things together kicked out the meat desires, because yeah, went vegan after those. That was unexpected. And now, yeah, I'm still, and this is what I keep asking internally. I'm like, but for real, is it still is it just me in here? It's like, it is just you. You simply have cells from your former internal family that we're not taking offline. It is not being run by their consciousness streams anymore. It is run by yours. Um, we keep calling them zombie cells. I'm part zombie. Because just truly, it's all about the it is all about the neuroplasticity setup of who lit regions created the infrastructure, the highways of information processing and sending and receiving. And that's just true for lived experience in general, because things from your childhood are impacting how you are now, and you can readjust and redo and whatever. Anyway, I've talked a lot about this. I'm not really sure that there's a point to everything I just put out there, other than, hey, have you considered that your period is more than just what you've been taught about it? So thank you so much for watching. I will probably talk about this more at some point. Love you so much. Bye.